What they do, good people? Yeah, we're gonna continue reading. I'm gonna continue moving on through Skyrim. To be honest, I've been changing up the way that I post on YouTube, so really, I guess it's gonna be difficult to
Theme
put them
Skies
in the
Grey
correct
Predator
order.
is now live. Streaming Fortnite 066.
That's not what I typed in, motherfucker. I typed in Skyrim number 25 reading Pimp by Iceberg Slim. And we've been reading it for a couple of One Pieces. Maybe one other stream. I'm not exactly sure, but again, I know it's going to be kind of difficult to keep that shit together. But it is what it is. Because I wanted to read the book again. I didn't realize it was as long as it is, but hey, whatever. Now let me go over. I need to work on the audio on this motherfucker because it is loud. Right? So this is what we gonna do. We're gonna put it all on 10%. And hopefully that shit works. But hey, we'll see what it do. But for now, sorry about the chair. We're moving, so I'm kind of stuck with this particular squeaky ass chair. But yeah, I'm gonna start the book. We're gonna keep moving. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, to be honest with you. That's one of the things about. Why would I still be muffling? Why would I still be muffling? Oh, right. Okay, yeah, that's right. Damn. I just watched number 16, so I was kind of. It's been over a week now. I think like 8 days since I posted last. Cause, dude, when I tell you, matter of fact, I'm gonna get a beer and then I'm gonna tell y'all. All right. So, give me just 1 second. Okay, so let me preface this by saying I have no problem doing work of any kind. I actually enjoy hard work because it typically pays dividends. Even if you're not getting paid for the hard work you're putting in, hard work is good for you, in my opinion. But just in explaining why I haven't uh, been able to stream lately, YouTube probably wouldn't notice because I'm like a month ahead typically with videos because I try not to put out more than like one or two a day on YouTube. And because I like to play so many different games, and because I haven't got that figured out yet, how I can switch between games within the same stream. Here we are. So I'll have a bunch of different, videos because I'm not editing anything right now. like at all. The most that I'll do is like if they tell me like some audio can't be seen or monetized or whatever, then I edit it out. Like, and YouTube basically does that for me. So I don't really do any of that. But um, we are moving at the end of June, so we get a few months to get prepared. But um, part of that preparation involved this past weekend. I went to the property and uh, I borrowed a chainsaw and cut down some trees. I think we only, because I cut down one with an axe like 2 weeks ago, but that shit literally blistered my hands to the point of like being worried I would be able to work my actual job. So this time I borrowed a chainsaw, and it was just making short work, just making short work of everything until like the blades started to get dull. Which, I mean, cut down 3 trees, you wouldn't expect the blades to get dull. Yeah. So, but that was fun. That was the fun part. The second part is we had to dig a ditch in order to put a culvert pipe, so like a drain pipe underneath, and it's right in an area where there's a creek on the property. Especially like when it rains, it usually is dry, but if it rains heavily, it's a good little creek coming down the mountain. But um, but the clay gets so fucking soft that you run a risk of getting stuck every time you cross over it. So we've been wanting to do like a bridge type of thing, but now that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna drop my house, my tiny home back there, and they're gonna have to drive the trailers over it, I'm like, well, why don't we do, a culvert and just do gravel, culvert, gravel, and then pack it on with soil, and it should hopefully um, keep that soil from being as wet and as soft and as liable for you to get trapped in. So, digging a ditch for that, like, I was thinking like it's gonna be like 12 inches we'd need to dig to cover the culvert, but then I thought about the gravel, and I also thought about the fact that it's a like kind of in a creek area, or a creek type of whatever piece of earth, and like the more we dug, I was like, we're gonna have to go like 18 inches down, like at least 16. I'm thinking, because the culvert itself is like a foot wide, so it's like, and a foot tall, so it's like um, so if you want gravel and soil on top of it, and for that to be level with the earth, we got to go down like 16 inches. But then with the water, I'm like, dude, it's gonna be like 18 inches. But that's what I've been doing, and that's why like I really wasn't able to play anything. But lucky for me, I got a few days off from work coming up, and actually because I've kind of overexerted myself, I think it's probably um, in my best interest to take some rest days, and this gives me a way of like keeping my mind active while resting my body, because it's a lot easier to keep my body from being active and actually taking that rest if my mind can work on several different things at the same time. But I hope y'all having a good day, man. Got some snacks, perhaps. I don't know what I'm about to get into in this shit. Damn, really? It'd be like that? Alright. Destruction. Mm. 50. Oh no. Now I remember where I'm at. Fuck. Okay. Um yeah, so these pillars should open this gate. Man, fuck this. I'm about to look it up. I ain't got time for this. I ain't got time for this. But I'll let Pimp start from wherever we left off. And I'll come back when I figure out what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing in here. I mean, there's only 3, right? So there can only be so many combinations. But do we really want to sit here and test them all out? No. Alright. I'll be back shortly.
Remember me? I'm pimping myself now. You sure pimped up a storm when I was a kid. What happened? Why are you staring for this craps joint? He had a dreamy, faraway look in his dull brown eyes. He was probably remembering his long-ago flashy pimp days. He sighed and put his arms around my shoulders. I walked with him through the door of the craps trap. The raw stink of gambler's sweat punched up into my nose. We sat on a battered sofa in the almost dark front of the joint. Through a partition, I could hear the tinkle of silver coins. I heard the flat cackle of the bone dice laughing at the cursing shooters begging for a natural. He said, "Sure, kid, I remember you. Christ, you got tall. I got to be getting old. What's your name? Kid, I've been getting funky breaks since I came to this raggedy city 12 years ago. I'm just steering for a pal who runs the joint. Hell, he needs me more than I need him. I'm gonna catch a hot number or a wild daily double. Old Preston's name will ring again. How many girls you got?" I said, "Slim Lancaster, but they call me Youngblood. Blood for short. I only got one now, but with all the whores here, I'll have bukus in a month. I just got in town tonight. I want to put my girl to work. Give me a rundown on some streets after I dash next door for a slab of ribs. I haven't dirtied a plate since noon. Anything I can get you?" He said, "Blood, if you must do something, get me a half a pint of Old Tailor at the corner liquor store. I'll run down for you, but you ain't gonna like my tail end rundown at all." It felt good to step out into the fresh, chilly air. I stopped in the rib joint and put my order in. I saw the front of the Roost on my way to the corner. I tiptoed and peeked through the bottom of the window blind. The joint was jumping. Pimps, whores, and white men crowded to the circular bar. Some skinny joker with skull burns on his face was fronting a combo. He tried to ape the bird phrasing and tone. His tan face had turned black. He was choking on his horn. Mixed couples danced to Stomping at the Savoy on a carpet-sized dance floor in the rear. Silk broads itching for forbidden fruit sat in booths lining the walls. Their faces glowed starkly in the red dimness. Their long hair flopped around their shoulders as they threw their heads back. They laughed drunkenly with their black lovers. I took my peepers out of the slot. I walked toward the corner to cop the bottle for Preston. I made a skull note to pop into the roost after Preston's rundown. I was 50 feet from the corner when I saw him. He was in the center of a small crowd. His high-crowned white hat was bobbing a foot above it. He was a nut-brown giant. As I drew closer, I could see his snow-white teeth. His heavy lips were drawn back in a snarl. His wide shoulders jiggled. He was stomping on something. It was like maybe he was a sharply togged fire dancer, or maybe a dapper grape crusher from Sicily. I squeezed through the crowd for a ringside view. He was grunting. His labor was yanking the sweat out of him. The crowd stood, tittering and excited, like a Salem mob watching the execution of a witch. The witch was black. She had the slant eyes and doll features of a geisha girl. The chill breeze whipped back the bottom of his benny. The giant's thigh muscles rippled inside the pants leg of his $200 vine. Again and again he slammed his size 13 shoe down on the witch's belly and chest. She was out cold. Her jaw hinge was awry, and red frothy bubbles bunched at the corners of her crooked mouth. At last he scooped her from the pavement. She looked like an infant in his arms. His eyes were strangely damp. He wedged through the crowd to a purple hog at the curb. He looked down into her unconscious face. He muttered, "Baby, why? Why do you make me do you like this? Why don't you hump and stop lushing and bullshitting with the tricks?" Still holding her tenderly, he stooped and opened the front door of the hog. He placed her on the front seat. He shut the door and walked around the hog to the driver's seat. He got in, and the hog roared away into the night. The crowd was scattering. I turned to a fellow about my age. His eyes were glazed. He was sucking a stick of gangster. I said, "That stud would have gotten busted sure as hell if the heat had made the scene." He stepped back and looked at me like I was fresh in town from a monastery in Tibet. He said, "You must be that square Rip Van Winkle I heard about. He's heat. He's vice heat. They call him poison. He's got 9 whores. He's a pimp. That broad is one of them. She got drunk with a trick." I went into the liquor store. It was 5 after 12. I ordered the half pint. The clerk put it on the counter. I swung my top coat away to get my hide in my hip pocket. I had 205s and 10s in it. I had 5 C-notes pinned to my shorts and a tobacco sack between my legs. My fingers touched the bottom of the pocket. My right hip pocket was empty. I was sure my hide had been on that side. I dug my left hand into the left pocket. Empty. Within seconds, both my sweaty hands had darted in and explored all of my pockets a half dozen times. The clerk just stood there amused watching the show. His hairy paws slid the half pint back toward him from foul territory. He said, "What's the matter, buddy? Some broad ram into you for your poke, or did you leave it at your other strides?" My mind was ferreting. It backpedaled, tore apart the scenes and moves I had made. I was a confused, jazzy punk. I said, "Jack, your score is 0. I'm not a Vic. I just remembered I got my scratch on Mars. I'll be back when I get back." He was shaking his head when I walked out. I crossed the street. I was headed toward the Ford. I wasn't going there to look for my hide on the seat. I was going there to peel off one of those C-notes next to my balls. I had remembered the scene back in the hike joint. I saw that rattlesnake lightning again. For the first time, I saw the thrill of the cop on the face of the horse. The fox had sure held my balls in the fire for horseface. I thought, as slick as those 2 bastards are, they can't miss making $1 million or getting croaked. From that day to this one, almost 30 years later, No scratch has ever been in my hide. I copped the bottle. I was hurrying to pick up my rib order. Old Preston was back out there bird-dogging suckers. I saw him point a joke into the joint. He slapped the balking sucker on the rump. The Vic went inside. He saw me and hobbled toward me. For the first time, I saw his crippled walk. He grinned when I laid the bottle on him. He said, "Thanks, kid. Want first up?" I said, "Jack, it's all yours. After I get my ribs, I'll duck back in the joint and rap with you." Preston had his bad dogs propped on a chair when I got back. I stumbled over his makeshift sandals beside the sofa. I sat down. His feet stank like a terminal cancer victim. Even a budding pimp has to have a cast iron belly. I unwrapped and started to gobble the ribs. He said, "I guess you saw Pimpin' Poison hanging that hoe on the corner. He's number 2 Mac in town." Through the peppery grease, I blurted, "Yeah, she looked dead to me. I guess he checked her into the morgue." How does he cut the double action? Who, as strong as he is, could top him? He tilted that bottle straight up and drained it. He said, "She ain't croaked. She'll be back out before daylight, humping her ass off. He's the top nigga viceroy in town. His pimpin' don't faze the white brass, just so he don't kick no white asses. Poison is a nice sweet stud compared to Sweet Jones. Sweet's the top spade pimp in the country." I said, "Preston, I want to be great like Sweet. I want my name to ring like his. I want to be slick enough to handle 100 whores. Can you pull my coat so I can cut into Sweet and get down right and really do the thing?" In the half darkness, I saw his yellow jaw pop loose. His hound face was twisting sideways in quizzical amusement. His face jigsawed like maybe I had asked him to let me knock him up. He starched like a corpse on a sofa. He said, "Kid, you bang a cap of smack or something? Sweet's crazy as a flock of loons. Your bell ain't never gonna clang that loud unless you go crazy too. He killed 4 studs. He ain't human. He got every nigga in town scared shitless. His horse call him Mr. Jones. He hates young punks. I can't cut you into him. Kid, I like you. You're good looking. You conned me that you're intelligent. I am going to give you some advice. Take it or leave it. I came to this town 12 years ago. I was so pretty, just my ass would have made you a Sunday face. I brought 5 whores with me. I had been one hell of a pimp back in the sticks. I was only 28 when I got here. Just like you, I had to cut into Sweet. It was easy for me. I was yellow and pretty. I had 3 beautiful white whores in my stable. I didn't know Sweet hated yellow niggas and white men. He grinned that gold-tooth smile for a year. He conned me that he loved me. He was a hype even then. He started to rib me, called me a square. I tried hard to be like him, so I got hooked on H. My habit screwed my mind up. All I wanted to do was bang H and coast. Like a real pal, he kept my stable humping. At first, his anger was Uncle Sweet to my whores. In 6 weeks, he was giving me and my whores orders. He tore my image down before my whores. He copped my stable. One morning, I was puking sick. Sweet was torturing me. He hadn't brought me my stuff in 24 hours. I was cold as ice, wrapped in a blanket, then red hot. I was naked, crawling on the floor, nailing my body bloody when he came in. He stood over me, flashing that gold in his jib. Sweet said, "Easy now, you pretty yellow bastard. There's been a panic. Until this morning, I couldn't cop any stuff. I copped you a 16th in Spicktown. You know I gotta love your stinking junky ass to stick my neck out like that. Ain't that a bitch? I just noticed when you sit, you almost black as me. I wish that bastard white father of yours could see you down there on your knees begging this black nigga to stop your misery. Sweet held the tiny cellophane pack out to me. I was too weak to take it. I said, "Please, Sweet, cook it for me and load my outfit. It's inside the candy-striped tie in the closet. Sweet, if you don't hurry, I'm sure to croak." I was one big ache and cramp. He walked slowly to the closet. He fumbled past the striped tie on the rack. He was getting his kicks making the yellow nigga suffer. I screamed, "Sweet, you had your mitt on the right one. It's there, right there." Sweet finally got the spike out of the tie lining. I was too weak to shoot the H when he got it cooked. I held my arm flat on the carpet. My eyes begged him to tie me up and bang me. He pulled my belt from my trousers on a chair. He tightened the belt around my arm above the elbow. My veins stood out like blue rope. He stabbed a needle into a vein in the hollow. The glass tube turned red. I lay there freezing to death, waiting for the smack to slug the sickness and pain out of me. Preston stopped for breath. Bubbles of sweat had popped out on his bald head. While running down Sweet's double cross, he had really relived it. I licked the hot sauce off my hands. I crushed the greasy sack into a ball and sailed it into a paper box at the end of the sofa. I fished my handkerchief out and wiped my mouth and hands. Those dice the house was using had a PhD. Every 10 minutes, a chump would shuffle from the rear with a tapped-out look on his face. I said, "Christ, Sweet's slick and cold-blooded. What happened after that?" Preston said, "That shot took the fever and pain away. I wasn't ready to go a fast 15 with Joe Louis. I felt better." Sweet stood in the middle of the floor watching me. My legs were weak. When I finally stood up, I stood there naked. I said, "Sweet, I know you have stolen my stable. I know I have been a prize sucker. I demand that you lay $1,000 or so on me. I got to kick this habit you conned me into. I won't give you any headaches. You got to loan me that G." Sweet just stood there like a black Buddha for a long moment. For a second, I thought he was going to put his foot in my ass like I was a whore. He grinned. He pulled my robe from the foot of the bed. He draped it around my shoulders. Then he said, "Sweetheart, I ain't stole no whores from you. Them whores would have blew to the wind if it don't be for me. You got me. I'm just like your whore. Wouldn't you rather I had them whores than some bastard you couldn't cop a favor from? Course I'm gonna give you the $1,000. I'm even going to give you back that buck-toothed yellow whore you had. I want you to straighten up. Sweetheart, I love you." I said, "Sweet, when do I get the $1,000? I got to know it's coming at a certain time." Sweet said, "Look, sweetheart, you get it no later than tomorrow morning. I'll bring the buck-toothed bitch with me. Today before noon, I'll send you a quarter piece. You got no reason to sweat. Sweet's in your corner, sweetheart." He chucked me under the chin and walked out. The runner came with the quarter piece at 11 o'clock. I was beginning to think Sweet was only half wrapped. At noon, 2 rollers broke down the door. I was coasting. I was draped in my PJs. They found the H and booked me for possession. I got a fin. I kicked the habit cold turkey in city jail. I did 3 years, 9 months in the state joint. I left my hair, teeth, and looks in the joint. A con ran a shiv into my plumbing. That's why I limp and pee out of this tube in my side. I ain't had a horse since. Preston had choked up. He said, "Kid, you still want to try this track and cut into Sweet?" I turned my face from him. He was mopping his tears away with his sleeve. I was sure a lost, stupid punk. After a rundown like that, I was still itching to take my crack at the fast track. The rundown had only boosted my desire to meet the slick, icy Sweet. If I had been smart, I would have jumped in that Ford and rushed back to the sticks. I thought, Sweet hates yellow and white. I am black like him. The runt is black. Sweet won't have a black whore. I have no reason to fear him. I have nothing that he wants. I have to find him and pick his brain. I got to take that shortcut to become a great pimp. I said, to hell with Sweet cut in. I'm not Bats, but I got to try this track. Yeah, Preston, you sure got the hurt put to you. Man, I feel for you. When I start pimping a zillion, I'll do something big for you. You are overdue for a break. Now tell me the best spot to down my package. He said, you gotta get your head bumped, huh? What kind of package you got? I said, black, 18, cute, stacked, and 3-way. He said, Blood, we are sitting on the best street in town for a package like that. Only drawback is this street is crawling with fast or hungry pimps. You would also be playing your girl against a half-dozen strong Jasper whores on this stand. They pimping tough as studs. They got some fancy con lay on a fine young whore. If your game ain't tight, you'll blow your girl fast. How long you had her? What kind of wheels you got? I said, about a week. But I got her uptight. The bitch loves me. Nobody can steal her. Temporarily, I got a Ford. He threw back his head and started laughing. I thought he had flipped his cork. He died laughing for a full minute. The tears were rolling down his cheeks when he stopped. He said, Blood Lancaster, Slim Young, Dizzy Willie, or whatever your name is, don't get down in this town if you ain't hip that a pimp don't never have a whore tight. Do you believe any whore could love a pimp? You ain't no pimp. These slick niggas will steal that young bitch as soon as you down her. The bartenders and bellhops on this fast track are better pimps than the best in the hinterlands. You ain't got no front and flash. Some of these boot blacks got hogs. You'll get that young bitch dazzled out from under you. Get out of town and be a good pimp in a chump town.
Cheap viewers on streamboo.com. Remove the space M581HM4Y.
He stopped rapping. He sat there just looking at me like I should bolt out the door and head for Suckerville. He sure thought he had spooked me. His ribbon had me hot as a bull run musket. I thought, what did this crippled flunky think I came here for? I knew I was slow. I sure didn't intend to stay slow. I was determined to maybe get as fast and slick as Sweet Jones, the boss pimp. If I blew the runt, it wouldn't be the end of the world. This poor crybaby had let Sweet's cross destroy him. I said, look, Preston, I got lots of heart. I'm not a pussy. I've been to the joint twice. I did tough bits, but I didn't fall apart. I believe my whore loves me in her freaky way. I believe I got her. If I'm wrong and I blow her, so what? I won't give up no matter what happens. If I go stone blind, I'm still going to pimp. If my props get cut off, I'll wheel myself on a wagon looking for a whore. I'm going to pimp or die. I'm not going to be a flunky in this white man's world. You can't convince me I can't pimp here. I know I could get my share of pussies to peddle. I'm going to get hit to what I don't know. I'm not afraid of Sweet. I'm going to cut into him and pick his brain like a buzzard. A heavy-set Greek with a carny face came in the door. I dummied up. He walked by us, then went through the small door in the partition. Preston started to put his shoes on. He looked nervous. I asked, "Who's the big stud? Is he?" He said, "Oh, he's the owner of the joint. Come to check the bankroll and cut box." "Then you and your pal are flunkies for the Greek?" Before he could answer, the Greek came out. Preston was slipping into his topcoat. The Greek paused and glared at him. He said, "I ain't paying you a fin a night to sit on your keister. I can get 100 boys to jump for that fin and the cot in the back. Your ass will grow icicles in the alleys if you don't get on the ball. Get out on the midway and dump some suckers into the joint." Preston said, "Yes, sir, Mr. Nick, but I wasn't sitting there but a minute before you showed. You know nobody can pull a mark better than me." I avoided Preston's eyes when he got on the sidewalk. I knew what I'd see there. I felt sorry for him. I pulled a sawbuck from my pocket. I folded it and dropped it into his ragged coat pocket. He took it out and put it in his short pocket. He said, "Thanks, Blood. Maybe I was wrong about you. Maybe you got the guts for the fast track. You'll need all you got. Good luck, kid." I said, "Preston, thanks for the rundown. In 6 months, you'll have to anchor your eyeballs. I'm getting down right on this stem tomorrow night. You can't stop a stepper. Don't worry if the Greek boots you out. I'll cop you a pad." I peeped into my skull file and saw that roost note. My Mickey Mouse read 1:30 a.m. I headed toward the roost. I had been in town only 3.5 hours. It had cost me only 212 slats to find out how little I knew. It's easy for a half-wise punk to lock his mind. Just this was worth a fortune. I thought, I have to keep my mind like a sponge. I use my eyes and ears like suction cups. I have to know everything about crosses and whores. Fast, I got to find out the secrets of pimping. I don't want to be a half-ass gigolo lover like the white pimps. I really want to control the whole whore. I want to be the boss of her life, even her thoughts. I got to con them that Lincoln never freed the slaves. The roost was still jumping. I copped the one open stool at the middle of the bar. A Mexican broad in a red satin cocktail dress brought me a pink Planters punch. The combo was speed riffing Tifa too. Through the bar-length mirror, I could see a black ugly stud playing stink finger with an angel-faced white broad in a booth behind me. He was playing pocket pool with his other hand. The broad had her eyes closed. Her rhinestone tiara looked like a phony halo. She was biting her bottom lip, like maybe she was taking a heavenly trip right there in the booth. My ear cups started sucking. The dapper joker on my right was rapping to the stud on the other side of him. He was saying, "I want my 3 bills back. That pretty bitch ain't turned 3 tricks since you sold her to me. The bitch is dying. She's falling apart. She can't walk the street." The seller said, "Jack, I sold you the package as is. I ain't responsible for the divine acts." The buyer said, "Divine my ass. You knew that dog was rotten inside and needed a grand's worth of carving? Give me 1.5 yards and take the bitch back." The seller said, "You a stick-up man? The bitch was whole when I sold her. Maybe you trying to play a con on me. Maybe you stomped on the package. Maybe you put the bitch in bad shape. I ain't buying her back even if you only wanted a slap for her." The buyer said, "Ain't this a bitch? I went for the okie doke. I'm out 3 bills for a black dog with a foot in the grave." The seller said, "I'm pimping for myself, Jack. I ain't got no time to pimp for you. Just to get you off my ass, I'm going to run down for you. There's a whorehouse upstate with all spit trade. They don't spend but a fan, but there's a zillion of them. On weekends, they line up on the sidewalk. All you gotta do is cop some pills, patch the bitch up, and take her up there. Up there, ain't no walking. She can flat back, and so long as she keeps breathing, you can get some scratch. Jack, she may even last long enough so you can invest some scratch to overhaul her, and still show a profit. The bitch is black and pretty. She ain't got much mileage on her. Them spies are wild for black broads. Jim, I've been running down the out for you. If you go for it, call me at noon. In the meantime, I'll contact the joint. Me and the house broad are tight. It's a cinch you can place your grief tomorrow. The buyer said, Jack, you know I deserve some cooperation. I'll try anything to break even on that dog. I'll call you at noon. I ain't salty with you now. Let's split and make the scene at the lair. I'll pop for a couple of rounds. The buyer stood up. He knocked his knuckles against the log. The cute Mexican broad came toward him to check him out. She stood before him. She was smiling. The seller drained his glass and stood. He leaned across the log, staring at her bosom. I was digging the action from that trap door in the corner of my eye. She said, both tabs come to $12. Yours is $7. Your friend's is $5. The buyer said, I've got 'em both. Here's a double saw. Keep the change, miss. Bet I get you. Say, girl, was that bum your father who brought you in when you started to work here last night? Ain't you afraid I'll salt and pepper you and eat you raw? She said, no, not my father, my husband. He's no bum. He had on his work clothes. People are not good to eat. It's not nice to eat people. Thanks for the tip. Come back soon. The buyer hurled his beak toward the ceiling and laughed. Flakes of grayish-white dust clung to the hairs in his nostrils. He had snorted and loaded his skull with H. Her mouth was still smiling. Her big black eyes had slitted in Latin fury. She turned away toward the register. She punched it. She came back. She stood staring at the buyer. She had a fin and 3 slats in her hand. She was crushing them into a missile. In the mirror, I saw the seller shaking his head as he walked out the door. The buyer was looking at her like the 8 slats had made her his indentured slave. The 4-carat stone in his left hand flashed like a neon as he caressed his fly. He said, if that tramp was your man, I'm stealing you. Shit, I should kidnap you right now. You ain't got no business juggling suds. Bitch, you got a mint between your big hairy legs. I'm gonna show you how to make $1,000 a week. I ain't never wanted nothing and didn't get it. Bitch, I'm gonna get you. I'll be back at 4 to pick you up. A massive black bulk with a face like a rabid bulldog had come on the scene. It had to be the joint bouncer. He was standing several feet behind the buyer, grinning like a starved croc. He was hunching his shoulders. The Mexican broad was shaking. She fired the missile. It struck the buyer on the tip of his beak. He threw his hands across his face. She shouted, you stupid, ugly filth! You insane nigger bastard! Do you think I'd let you touch me? I wouldn't shit in your mouth to save your slimy life. If you ever look at me again, I'll cut your heart out. The bouncer streaked toward the buyer like a howitzer shell. His feet clickety-clacked like the wheels of an express train against the parquet floor. He viced the buyer's rear end through the tail split in its topcoat. He seized the scrawny neck with his other giant paw. The buyer was almost airborne. The tips of his shoes did a tap dance against the floor on his way to the door. The joint was silent. The buyer swiveled his head back toward the angry tamale. Just before he skidded toward the sidewalk, he screamed, you square, greasy, chili gut bitch! I'm gonna triple cross you! The joint got back on jump time. The combo started to riff, mood indigo. I thought about the run. The Mexican broad had her hands on her hips. She was looking at me. She wanted me to say the buyer was a no-good bastard. She didn't know I was up as a pledge in his club. I put a deuce on the log and walked out. It was 2:30 in the a.m. I walked to the corner. Preston had been right. Poison's black whore was standing in front of the liquor store. She hit on me. That terrible beating she had taken sure hadn't cured her bad habit. She said, "Hi, Slim. Give me 10 and sock it in. I won't put the rush on you, handsome. Cop a jug and let's go freak off." I jerked my head away from the sight of her like she was Medusa. I put my dogs in high gear and crossed the street. I had a quick vision of Poison's 13s giving me a buttache. I got into the Ford and made a U-turn. I was going to the Run and some DOS. I caught Preston in my headlights on the turn. He was still out there trying to make the Greek richer. He waved. I honked. The mercury had fallen, the icy streets like a ski run. Less than a mile from the roost, I saw a clean front of a hotel. The blue neon sparkled out. Blue Haven Hotel. I went into the blue and red lobby. A broad was on the desk. She had a razor slash on her tan cheek. She had the build and a wrapper of a heavyweight wrestler. She said, "You want something permanent or just for the night?" I said, "How much are permanent pads? I want the best you got. Whatever it is, it's got to be on the front with a view." She said, "The best single rooms are $32.50 a week. The best 3-room apartments are $100 a week." She got up and went to the red board behind her. She took several keys off and gave them to me. The elevator operator was an old stud reading a Wild Maggie and Jiggs comic book. He was whistling When the Saints Go Marching In. His peepers were glued to it like maybe he had found the map to the Lost Dutchman. I got off on the 3rd floor. I looked at 2 single rooms. The carpet in them was stained and the furniture was battered. This was an underworld hotel, all right. I could smell the odor of gangster grass in the hallways. I took the stairs to the 4th floor. I looked into 2 apartments. I went for the second one. It was freshly decorated in gold and black paint. The furniture was blonde and new. It was spotless and flashy. The gold-draped front window gave a wide view of the stem. The pad was perfect for now. It would do until I bit the big time with the big stable. I went to the elevator and pressed the down button. The floor indicator dial was stuck between floor number 2 and 3. I took the stairs down. I figured the antics of Maggie and Jiggs had put a lot of pressure on the old joker. Some whore in the hotel was probably down there with the old coot. They were maybe using the comic book as a guide. I went to the desk. I registered and paid a week's rent in advance. I put the key in my pocket and went to the Ford. I drove toward the Run. I saw a black whore leading a white man into the front door of the Martin Hotel, 100 yards from the Haven. The Run could take her good tricks there. It was 4 a.m. when I got there. I parked and went up the hotel stairs. An elevated train shook the stairway as it passed. Its shadow leaped through the 2nd floor window and plunged like a rattling, speeding ghost across the hall. I turned left to number 20. I twisted my key in the lock and stepped inside. The Runt was wide-eyed. She leaped from the bed. She had on red baby doll pajamas. She squeezed herself hard against me. She acted like I had been gone a year. She said, "Oh, Daddy, I'm so glad you're back. I was worried like hell. Where have you been? Do you love me as much as I love you? Did you miss me? I'd die if anything ever happens to you." A heart-aching montage tornadoed through my skull. I gritted my teeth. I felt my fingernails ice-picking into my palms. The Runt's love calm had resurrected sad old scenes. I saw poor Black Henry. He was on his knees blubbering his love for Mama. I saw his pitiful eyes begging Mama not to break his heart. I saw Mama kicking herself free of his clutching arms. I saw that terrible look of scorn and triumph on Mama's face. I thought about the worms that had devoured his flesh on his lonely grave. I shuddered and punched the Runt with all my might against the left temple. On impact, needles of pain threaded to my elbow. She moaned and shot backward onto the bed. She bounced like she was on a trampoline. There was a crunching, pulpy thud on the second bounce. She'd crashed face first on the steel edge at the foot of the bed. She just lay there, breathing hard. I moved to the foot of the bed. I grabbed a fistful of hair. I turned her face toward me. Her eyes were closed, and there was a bloody gash just above her right eyebrow. I went to the face bowl and drew a pitcher of cold water. I doused her full in the face. Her eyes flickered open. She just lay, looking up at me. A scarlet trickle ran down her cheek across her chin. She stroked the side of her face. She saw the blood. Her eyes full-mooned. Her mouth was open. I stood looking down at her. The guts in my scrotum were twisting. I could feel hot currents firing up that generator at the base of my weapon. Then she said, "Why, Daddy? Why did I get my ass whipped? Are you high or what?" I said, "Bitch, if I have you 100 years, don't ever ask me where I've been. Don't ever try to play that bullshit love con on me. We're not squares. I'm a pimp, you're a whore. Now get up and keep a cold towel on that eyebrow." She got up and stood at the wash bowl, washing blood off. Her big eyes were staring at me through the mirror. I didn't know she had started to keep a revenge score on her skull. 7 years later, she would tally up and happily cross me into prison. She sat on the side of the bed, pressing a towel against the wound. I got in the sack in the raw. 15 minutes, the leak had stopped. It was now only a small puckered slash. She crawled in beside me, nibbled at my ear. That lizard did cross-country laps and then took the boss trek around the world. I lay there silently. I was trying to figure the real reason why I had slugged her. I couldn't find the answer. My thoughts were hamstrung by the razor edge of conscience. She whispered, "Daddy, do you feel like tying me down? Please? I want you to." I said, "Bitch, you got a one-track mind. I'm gonna tie you down like a sow in a slaughterhouse. After you get your rocks off, I'm gonna give you the rundown on that stem you're working tonight. Get on your back, stretch your legs out and put your arms above your head. That's right, you sweet freak bitch." Chapter 6. Drilling for Oil. That Thunderbolt L train had trembled the room a half-dozen times. Dawn had broken through a smeary sky. Fingers of pale gray light poked through the frayed window shades. She was lying in my arms. I saw flakes of brown blood beneath her chin. Her heart against my side was sprinting, like a wildcat's facing the hounds. I could hear the clip-clop of an ice huckster's horse. The creaking wagon wheels were in rhythm to his pitch. He sang, "Ice, man, ice. 100 for 20, 50 for a dime. Keep your watermelon cold and your pork chops fine. Invite old Joe up to Chitlins just any old time. Ice, man, ice." I thought, even the Iceman is starving down here. I gotta get down up there on that stem. Off Preston's rundown, that stem must be a son of a bitch. I gotta down her there. It's where the scratch is. When I run down to her, I have to be cool and confident. I can't falter and tip her that I'm still going to school. I gotta really remember the get down, run down I hustled from those pimps in the joint. I said, "Phyllis, Daddy's been out there casing those streets. It's like walking in a river of tricky crap. If I had any other bitch but you, I would say she couldn't go out there and get me some scratch. Baby, I got a lot of confidence in you. I know no stud or con bitch can sell you a pig and a poke. In fact, I would stand in the halls of Congress and swear that you would be too busy getting scratched to even listen to bullshit. Am I right so far about you? Or have I overrated you?" She said, "Daddy, I'm a big girl now. No nickel slick bastard can steal me from you. You know what, you, and always will. Honey, I just want to be your little dog and make you $1 million. When we get rich, maybe you won't mind if Gay, my daughter, lives with us. She's only 2. She's so cute and friendly. You'd be crazy about her. My aunt in St. Louis takes care of her. I thought, I was sure sap making like a pimp. Here I had her a week, and I was flat-footed. I hadn't heard about a crumb crusher. Worse, I hadn't given her a deep quiz. I really knew nothing about her. It had been the one rundown from the joint I'd goofed. I had been satisfied with the shallow rundown from that sissy barkeep. The pimps in the joint had said, there ain't nothing more important than what makes a new bitch tick and why. You gotta scrape her brain. Find out whether the first joker who laid her was her father or who. Make her tell you her life story. If she can remember back in her mammy's ass, good. Fit all the pieces together. Maybe then you'll know if she's a 2-day package or a 2-year package. Don't try to play him in the dark. Quiz him into a crack-up if you have to. Wake him up from a dead sleep. Check the answers you got with what you get. I said, girl, your rap is right on the scratch. It's you and me against the world. I'm gonna make a star out of you. We are going to get rich as cream. You gotta hump your ass off in those streets, baby. As soon as we get a big bundle, you go cop the kid. Now forget about her until we get in shape. I don't want anything in your skull but those tricks out there. Now listen carefully. I want you to do nothing but work the street. Stay out of the bars. Don't drink, smoke gangster, or use anything while you're working. Your skull has to be sharp and clear out there. Otherwise, you could lose your life. And almost as bad, my scratch. Believe me, I'm not yeasting it. I want you to memorize everything that happens while you're working. I want to run down every night after you knock off. Maybe some stuff players will set you up like tonight and take you off tomorrow night. Keep those crack-wise niggas out of your face. If I see you rapping to a Jasper broad, I'm going to put my foot in your ass. Play for cruising white tricks. Spade tricks are trouble. They all want to make a home. You're black and beautiful. They can't resist you. They are the freaks, and they got the scratch. Ask them for 100 and take 10. You can go down on the price. You can't go up. Don't go to nobody's pad for a double saw over. Take them to the Martin down the street from where we are going to move. Flip out of wheels as much as possible. Flip them fast and crack more scratch for overtime. Your name is Mary Jones. I got enough BR to raise you fast. You're not a thief. I don't need a bondsman or lip now. You don't have a sheet. You see a young girl out there, square or whore, pull her. Be friendly to her. Build me up. You know, tell her how smart and sweet I am. Don't let no bitch pull you. This family needs some whores. Don't bring no junkie bitch to me. Now, is there anything you don't understand? She said, no, Daddy, I dig everything.